Welcome to our online webinar for our tick curriculum for school educators. This is Kayla and Crystal from the Public Health Corps, a collaboration between the Muskie School at USM and the Maine CDC Division of Infectious Disease.
Today, we're going to go over what ticks look like. Are all ticks the same? Where do ticks live? Why remove a tick? What is Lyme disease? How will I know if I have Lyme disease? How do I protect myself? And what if I find a tick on me?
Let's start out with, what do ticks look like? Here in Maine, we have 14 different species of ticks. Ticks are arachnids and have 8 legs. All ticks also have a capitulum, which is the mouth part, a dorsal shield, also called the scutum, and an abdomen. The abdomen is what expands as the tick feeds on blood. This is where the blood collects. The scutum protects the tick and stays the same size.
Ticks are very good at what they do. Ticks have a barbed beak, which is what allows them to hold on to you. When the tick latches on, it secretes an anesthetic that numbs the area so that we don't know that it's feeding. It also secretes an anticoagulant that keeps your blood from clotting so that it is able to keep feeding. Ticks can be very, very small. The second picture shows the tip of a pencil and a deer tick that is embedded.
What size are ticks? The picture on the left shows 3 different kinds of ticks at their different life stages. We'd like to point out that the deer tick on top at their adult stage is roughly the same size as the dog tick at the nymphal stage. So sometimes you can use size to differentiate between the types of ticks, but is not always correct depending on their stage. The picture on the right shows a tick's life cycle and their seasonal stages.
It is important to be able to distinguish between the types of ticks because here in Maine, deer ticks are currently the only ticks that are carrying disease. Here in Maine, the most prominent difference you can look for on the tick is the scutum color. Deer ticks have a dark brown scutum. No matter the life stage, you can always recognize the deer tick by the dark scutum behind its head. Anytime the temperature is above freezing, there is a risk for ticks. Adult deer ticks are most common in the spring and fall. Nymph deer ticks are most common in the summer.
Dog ticks currently do not carry disease in Maine. You can recognize a dog tick by white markings on their scutum. Males will also have white racing stripes down their back, while females simply have the white on their scutum as shown in the picture. Adult dog ticks are more common in the summer, so if you find a good-sized tick in the summer, it is most likely a dog tick.
Where do ticks live? Ticks are actually very susceptible to drying. Ticks prefer leafy tree-covered areas, forests, and shrubs. This protects them from the direct sun and wind.
Where the ticks are susceptible to drying and wind, they do not prefer large open areas, specifically where grass is kept short.
How do ticks move? This can be a common misconception. Ticks, in fact, do not fly or jump. Ticks can only walk. They tend to crawl to the top of grass or shrubs and wave their front legs about until they catch hold of a host. A tick will crawl up to a feeding spot on the host, such as a person's skin. Ticks will not jump up on you from the ground, fly, or fall out of the trees onto you. You have to brush up against where they are located.
Here in Maine, there are 4 diseases that we know ticks can carry. Lyme disease is the most common disease carried by the ticks and the second most common reported infectious disease in Maine. Next up is anaplasmosis, babesiosis, and powassan in order of occurrence. These are not as common, but have been on the rise. The deer tick is what carries all 4 of these diseases.
Lyme disease is caused by the bacteria Borrelia burgdorferi. This is a spirochete. You can see in the first picture, the bacteria is actually spiral-shaped, like a corkscrew. It is also common for this bacteria to affect pets, such as dogs.
How will I know if I have Lyme disease? The most common symptom of Lyme disease, as shown in the picture, is a bullseye rash. This occurs in 60 to 70% of cases. It is important to know that the rash can occur on the site of where you were bitten, but doesn't always. It is possible to be bit in one area and have the rash occur on another area on your body. The other symptoms are pretty vague. You can have sore muscles, feel tired, have the chills, or swollen lymph nodes. We commonly tell people that if you have flu-like symptoms in the summer, it's most likely a vector-borne disease. If you have any of these symptoms, please consult with your doctor.
This slide shows symptoms of the other 3 tick-borne diseases seen here in Maine. Again, you can see that most are similar to flu-like symptoms. There are a couple of notable differences with these diseases. Babesiosis is a parasite and can be very dangerous. Powassan is a virus and has so far been very rare in Maine.
How do I protect myself? We want everyone to be able to enjoy the Maine outdoors. Step 1 to protecting yourself is to wear protective clothing. As seen in this first picture, it is key to tuck your pants into your socks. Ticks need skin in order to attach and feed. They like to crawl up your body in order to find a spot to feed, so if your clothes are tucked in and covering your skin, they won't be able to attach. This forces the tick to crawl on the clothing, which is why light-colored clothing is also recommended, so that we can see the tick before it attaches and remove it. Second is to use one of the 5 approved repellents. These repellents are DEET, picaretin, IR3535, and oil of lemon and eucalyptus for the skin, as well as permethrin for clothing. Please follow the directions for these repellents, especially oil of lemon and eucalyptus, as it needs to be applied frequently. The third step is to be careful in tick-infested areas. When you're out on a walk or hike, it is advised to stay in the middle of the trail since brushing up against the bushes increases your chance of a tick attaching. The fourth step is to perform a daily tick check. As mentioned earlier, the ticks have to be attached for at least 24 hours. So performing a daily tick check allows you to remove them before you contract the disease.
How do we do a tick check? We recommend doing a check with both your sight and touch. Ticks can be very small, so sometimes you may not see them. Get familiar with your freckles. If your freckle is moving, it's probably a tick. Ticks especially like warm areas of the body that you need to pay attention to, such as your hairline, neck, armpits, waistline, thighs, between your legs, and behind your knees. It is also important to check your pets. If you have a dog that goes outside, it could be bringing in ticks, exposing both them and yourself to Lyme disease. So it is best to perform a tick check daily for them as well.
What if I find a tick on me? First off, we want you to have an adult remove it for you. There are 2 ways we recommend doing this. The first is with a tick spoon, which has a notch that you line up with the tick, apply a little pressure, and keep pushing until the tick detaches. The second is with tweezers. With these, you want to grasp the tick as close to your skin as possible and gently pull up until the tick lets go. There are many other home remedies used, such as Vaseline and burning the tick, but we do not recommend using these since it agitates the tick, and when you cause them agitation, they can regurgitate their stomach contents, causing an infection.
Why remove a tick? Ticks can carry diseases, which is why we want to remove them as soon as possible. For Lyme disease, which is the most common here in Maine, the tick has to be attached for at least 24 hours in order for a person to contract the disease. So if we were able to find and remove the tick early on, we are able to prevent the disease.
There are several ways to help make your yard safer. First, remove all brush, leaf litter, and keep the grass cut. Because ticks are susceptible to drying out, it is also effective to create a dry border between the woods and your lawn. The ticks will not be able to cross this barrier on their own. It is also important to remove plants that attract deer as well as create a physical barrier since deer will carry ticks onto your property.
This is our tick ID poster. We want people to be aware of the ticks, the different types, and how to prevent them and the diseases they carry.
For more information, we have a 24-hour consultation line along with an email address which is monitored. We have our vector-borne website, which has all of these diseases and prevention information. Maine Medical Center Research Institute is the expert on tick biology, and UMaine Cooperative Extension has a tick ID lab that you can send your ticks to in Orono, and they will let you know what kind of tick it is, as well as what level of engorgement.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching.